The planet Ardalis 7 stretched beneath them like a broken jewel. Its landscape was jagged and wild, with sharp cliffs, deep ravines, and forests of strange luminescent trees that pulsed faintly in the twilight. Humanity had only recently begun to explore it, and every step felt like a discovery, or a danger. Dr. Lyra Vance moved carefully across the rocky terrain, her scanner humming softly in her hand. She had always been fascinated by alien biology, and Ardalis 7 promised secrets no human had ever seen. Her long coat flapped in the rising wind and her boots slipped on loose stone. Still, she pressed on, determined to find a new species of plant that could potentially cure the infections spreading through some of the first human colonies. Behind her, Commander Ethan Cross led the small research team. He was tall and strong, with a calmness that inspired trust. Every team member followed his instructions without question, knowing that on a planet like this, hesitation could be deadly. "Lyra, be careful," Ethan called out. "This storm isn't natural. The readings are off the charts." Lyra looked back at him with a small smile, brushing her auburn hair from her face. "I know, Ethan, but we've been here before. We can handle it." The sky darkened in an instant. Clouds swirled unnaturally and the wind picked up, howling through the cliffs like a living creature. The team froze as the first pebbles began to bounce across the ground, whipped by the violent gusts. Suddenly, a sharp crack rang through the air. A large shard of rock, loosened by the storm, tumbled down from the cliffs above. Lyra's reflexes saved her just in time. She leaped to the side, but the rock struck her leg, sending her crashing to the ground. Pain flared through her calf and ankle, and she groaned. "Lyra!" Ethan shouted, sprinting toward her. His boots pounded on the uneven stones, and he reached her just as another rock tumbled dangerously close. She looked up at him, wincing. "I'm okay. Mostly," she said, though her face betrayed the pain. Ethan knelt beside her, examining the injury. "Your leg is twisted. We need to move you to safety before this storm gets worse." Lyra tried to stand, but a sharp pain forced her back down. I can't," she admitted. Her usual confidence was replaced by vulnerability, something she rarely let others see. Ethan nodded and carefully lifted her into a supporting hold. She rested her head lightly against his shoulder, but as he adjusted his grip, she instinctively pulled back slightly. "Lyra?" Ethan asked, concerned. She met his eyes and whispered, almost as if speaking to herself, "Only the one I choose may touch." Her words were soft, but there was a strange weight to them. It wasn't distrust exactly, it was something deeper, something almost human. Ethan froze for a moment, understanding more than he could explain. He nodded gently and adjusted his hold, giving her space while still supporting her weight. It was a moment of quiet understanding between them. Humans, he realized, had abilities beyond physical strength. There were boundaries, instincts, and choices that shaped their interactions, especially on a planet like this, where trust could mean survival or death. The storm worsened. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the jagged cliffs around them. Ethan carried Lyra toward a nearby ravine where the wind would be less violent. Each step was difficult. Loose rock shifted beneath his boots, and the storm tried to push him backward, but he pressed on, steady and determined. Behind them, the rest of the team struggled with their equipment and supplies. Communications were nearly impossible in the storm, and visibility dropped to a few feet. Still, they moved together, a small chain of humans against the untamed chaos of the planet. Lyra's breathing was shallow, but her eyes remained sharp. "Ethan," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "we need to find shelter before the night falls completely." Ardalis 7 isn't forgiving after dark. He glanced up. The sun was almost gone, leaving only the eerie glow of the alien forest in the distance. "I know. Just a little further." The team reached a small overhang at the base of a cliff, enough to shield them from the worst of the wind and debris. Ethan set Lyra down gently on a flat rock. Her leg throbbed painfully, and she leaned back against the cliff wall, exhausted. Other team members arrived, their faces pale and worried. They quickly set up temporary shields, force fields designed to keep the worst of the storm at bay. The alien technology hummed to life, creating a protective bubble around the humans. Lyra inspected the shields with her scientific curiosity still intact. "They'll hold for a while," she said, her voice weak but certain. "But not long. We need to move again soon. Ethan nodded, sitting beside her. He gently examined her leg. It's swollen. I can stabilize it with a brace, but you won't be walking far tonight. Lyra looked at him and allowed a small smile. Then I guess I'm lucky you're here. He smiled back, but there was seriousness in his eyes. We're all lucky we have each other. That's what keeps us alive on this planet. A distant roar echoed through the cliffs, making everyone tense. Ardalis 7 was alive in ways humans hadn't fully understood. The forests were full of predators adapted to the planet's strange energy fields. Humans had learned to respect them, but sometimes respect wasn't enough. Ethan scanned the area, every sense alert. We can't stay here long, he said. Lyra, can you move if I help you? She nodded slowly. Yes, but carefully. Ethan carefully lifted her again, keeping her slightly away from him, respecting her whispered rule. Step by step, they moved toward the safety of the alien forest. The trees here glowed faintly, casting soft light that made the shadows less threatening. Still, every rustle made them flinch, every shadow could hide danger. As they walked, Lyra's mind wandered despite the pain. She had always been different. Humans had a strange adaptability, a way of surviving in situations that would crush other species. Her empathic instincts, her ability to sense energy and trust had saved her more than once, and now they were saving her again. Ethan noticed her thoughts. You're quiet, he said softly. I'm thinking, she admitted. About the storms, the cliffs, and about us. About what humans can do when they work together. He looked at her curiously. Go on. We survive, she said, her voice gaining strength. Not because we're the strongest or the fastest, but because we know how to choose. We know how to trust the right people, at the right time. That's our power. Ethan considered her words. He had seen it too. Humans were not perfect, not invincible, but there was a spark in them, a spark that made them unpredictable and formidable. Finally, they reached a small clearing protected by thick alien trees. Ethan set Lyra down carefully. The team worked quickly to establish a safe perimeter, using portable shields and traps to alert them if predators approached. Lyra examined the clearing and nodded. This will do for the night, she said, relief in her voice. We can rest here and plan our next move. Ethan crouched beside her. You're hurt badly, Lyra. You need to rest properly. She met his gaze, her eyes steady despite the pain. I will, but only if I can help too. Humans don't survive by waiting for others to act. We survive by acting together, by choosing who to trust and working as one. Ethan smiled faintly. She was right. That was why humans endured where others would falter. That was why they explored worlds like Ardalis 7. That was why they had a chance here, against the unpredictable dangers of this alien planet. The wind howled outside, rattling the trees and whipping loose leaves into the air. Inside the clearing, the humans huddled together, exhausted but alive. And for the first time since the storm began, Lyra felt a small spark of hope. Even on a wild, untamed world like Ardalis 7, humans could survive. Not because they were invincible, not because they were flawless, but because they chose. They chose courage, they chose trust, and sometimes they chose each other. Ethan watched her for a moment, understanding the depth of her whispered words. Only the one I choose may touch. It wasn't just about her injury. It was about connection, about respect, about the unique human way of navigating danger and trust. And in that moment, he knew that whatever this planet threw at them, humans together would find a way. The night fell over Ardalis 7, dark and dangerous, but inside the small clearing, humanity endured. And in the distance, hidden among the cliffs and alien forests, the planet's strange creatures watched, curious about the new species that dared to survive on their world. The storm finally passed, leaving Ardalis 7 shrouded in a soft, eerie twilight. The wind had died down, but the alien landscape remained dangerous. Sharp rocks jutted from the ground, and the glowing forest cast long, twisting shadows. Humanity had survived the storm, but survival alone was not enough. Dr. Lyra Vance sat on a flat rock in the clearing, her legs still throbbing from the injury. She wrapped a temporary brace around her calf, using the materials the team had carried. Commander Ethan Cross knelt beside her, helping with the bandages. His calm presence was steadying, a reminder that humans could adapt and endure even in the most alien circumstances. You need to rest, Lyra, Ethan said gently. You can't push yourself too hard. Not with that leg. I will, she replied, though her eyes were already scanning the area. Her mind never stopped. She was thinking about the storm, the cliffs, the predators that might still lurk nearby. But most of all, she was thinking about the strange energy she felt during the storm. An energy that pulsed through her, responding to her fear, her trust, and her decisions. Ethan noticed her distant gaze. You're thinking about the energy again, aren't you? Lyra nodded. It's hard to explain. Humans on this planet are changing. It's subtle at first, but I can feel it. Some of us have developed an ability to control a kind of shield, like a protective field that responds to trust. Ethan raised his eyebrows. A shield that responds to trust? Lyra's lips curled into a small, confident smile. Exactly. I felt it during the storm. When I whispered, "Only the one I choose may touch," it wasn't just words. My body reacted. I created a barrier, even if only a small one. It protected me from the danger around us. Ethan was silent for a moment. He had faced many alien threats, but this was different. Humans, he realized, were not only surviving, they were evolving. Their strength was not just in technology or weapons, but in something deeper, something uniquely human. Can you control it? He asked carefully. I think so, Lyra said, adjusting her brace. But I need to practice, and I need time. The team settled into the clearing, setting up a perimeter with portable shields and sensors. Even though the storm had passed, Artemis 7 was unpredictable. Predators could strike at any time, and the team needed to stay alert. That night, as the humans rested, Lyra focused on her breathing. She could feel the subtle pulse of energy in the ground, in the air, even in her own body. Closing her eyes, she concentrated on creating a small protective field around herself. At first, nothing happened. The pain in her leg made concentration difficult. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the air around her shimmered. The shadows of the glowing forest seemed to bend away from her. A warmth spread through her chest, a sense of safety, of control. Ethan, keeping watch nearby, noticed the faint shimmer. His eyes widened slightly. He had seen many strange things on Ardalis 7, but this was different. Humans were not only surviving, they were learning to manipulate the environment itself. Lyra, he whispered, careful not to startle her. I see it. She opened her eyes, a mix of surprise and satisfaction on her face. It's working, she said softly. I can protect myself, and maybe even others. The following morning, the team prepared to continue their mission. They had received a distress signal from a nearby research outpost, indicating that another group of humans had been trapped by alien predators. Lyra insisted on going despite her injury. You shouldn't, Ethan said firmly. You need rest. I can help, she replied. I can control the shield. We'll have a better chance with it. Humans survive when we work together and when we trust the right people. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. He knew she was right. Humans' adaptability was their greatest weapon. The journey to the other outpost was slow and dangerous. Lyra's leg forced her to move carefully, but she used her empathic shield to keep the team safe. When alien predators appeared, the shield repelled them, giving the humans time to react. The team finally reached the outpost, only to find it partially destroyed. Smoke rose from broken buildings, and the ground was littered with debris. A few survivors were trapped inside, frightened and injured. Lyra took the lead, using her shield to clear a safe path. Follow me, she said. Stay within the barrier. You'll be safe. The humans moved carefully, trusting Lyra's guidance. The alien predators prowled nearby, but the shield kept them at bay. For the first time, the survivors saw the strange power humans were developing. One young researcher, trembling with fear, whispered, I've never seen anything like this. Lyra smiled gently. It's part of being human. We survive by choosing who to trust and by protecting each other. Ethan watched her with admiration. Humans had always relied on weapons, technology, and strategy, but now they had something more, something instinctive, ethical, and powerful. As they guided the survivors to safety, Lyra noticed a predator moving silently in the shadows. It was larger than any they had seen before, with claws that glinted in the dim light. Her heart raced, but she didn't panic. She focused on her shield, expanding it slightly, letting it respond to her fear and determination. The predator approached, but as it touched the edge of the shield, it recoiled. Lyra felt a surge of energy. Her body, her mind, and her trust combined into something tangible, something real. The predator hesitated, then retreated into the forest. Ethan exhaled, impressed. "That was incredible," he said. Lyra smiled, but she was serious. "Humans are incredible. Not because we're strong or fast, but because we know how to survive together, how to trust and how to control our own power." The survivors followed them back to the main outpost, awe and relief in their eyes. The journey had been dangerous, but humanity had prevailed, not through brute force, but through adaptability, empathy, and teamwork. Back at the main outpost, Lyra began training other humans to use the empathic shield. She taught them to focus on their breathing, their intentions, and their trust in each other. Slowly, humans began to understand how to protect themselves in ways that technology alone could not provide. Ethan watched her work, realizing that this was more than survival training. This was the next step in human evolution. Humans had always been creative, courageous, and moral. Now they were learning to channel those qualities into something tangible, a force that could keep them safe and give them an edge against any threat. Days passed, and the humans adapted quickly. They learned to work together, respecting boundaries, understanding each other's strengths, and using the shield to protect not just themselves, but the group as a whole. Lyra's whispered rule, "Only the one I choose may touch," became a symbol of mutual respect and control. It reminded them that power was not just about force, it was about choice, trust, and responsibility. One evening, as the team rested, Lyra and Ethan stood outside the shielded perimeter. The alien forest glowed softly around them, and the wind carried the faint sounds of distant predators. "You're growing stronger every day," Ethan said, his voice low. "I've never seen humans adapt like this before." Lyra looked at him, determination in her eyes. "We're not just surviving, Ethan, we're learning. We're evolving. And when the challenges come, we'll be ready." He nodded. He understood now what made humans unique. They were not the fastest or the strongest, but they were clever, resilient, and ethical. They could face dangers that no other species could, because they understood themselves and each other. As night fell over Ardalis 7, the humans rested within their shielded perimeter. They had survived the storm, they had rescued their fellow humans, and they had begun to awaken a new power within themselves. The planet was dangerous, the predators were real, and the challenges were far from over. But humanity was ready, and in that quiet moment, Lyra knew that her whisper, the simple words, "Only the one I choose may touch," was not just about her. It was about every human everywhere, about trust, courage, and the choice to survive together. The adventure was only beginning, and humanity was prepared to face whatever Ardalis 7 had in store. The humans' progress on Ardalis 7 had been steady, but the planet remained unforgiving. The glowing forests, jagged cliffs, and deep ravines hid dangers the team could only guess at. Dr. Lyra Vance's leg had healed enough to walk, but she still relied on the protective empathic shield she had been practicing for days. The shield had become more than a defense. It was a symbol of human ingenuity and teamwork. Commander Ethan Cross led the group along a narrow cliff path that overlooked a deep valley. The distress signal from a nearby research outpost had been confirmed, and humans were trapped. The signal was weak, but it was enough to guide them. Every step was careful. Ardalis 7 could be treacherous even without storms or predators. Lyra moved beside Ethan, her eyes scanning the surroundings. She could feel the subtle energy shifts in the air, the presence of the planet's predators, the faint hum of the alien flora, and the movements of her teammates. Humans, she thought, had always relied on senses, instincts, and trust to survive. Here on this alien world, those skills were even more important. "Keep the shields active," she reminded the team. "Even a small distraction could be dangerous." The humans nodded, moving quietly. They were not just explorers. They were survivors, adapting to the rules of a world that had never known humans before. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the cliff ahead. Ethan raised a hand to stop the team. Lyra's shield pulsed slightly, reacting to the threat before anyone could see it clearly. "Predator," she whispered. The energy she felt was strong and aggressive. Not just one, several. Before they could react, the alien hunters, 4 of them, emerged from the shadows. They were larger than any predator the team had faced, with limbs that bent in ways humans could not comprehend, and claws sharp enough to tear through metal. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, tracking movement with precision. Ethan quickly assessed the situation. Defensive positions. Shields up. The humans moved instinctively, surrounding themselves with the shimmering protective fields Lyra had taught them to focus. The predators advanced, but the shields repelled them, forcing the hunters to circle and look for openings. Lyra's heart raced. The shield was working, but the predators were intelligent. They were testing weaknesses, probing for gaps. The humans had to remain calm and coordinated. Panic would be fatal. Focus on your breathing, Lyra instructed. The shield responds to intention, not fear. Stay calm and stay together. The team tightened their formation. Each person's shield overlapped slightly with the others, creating a larger protective zone. The predators hissed and roared, frustrated by the invisible barrier. One tried to leap over the shield, but it recoiled as if struck by a wall of force. Ethan signaled to the team. We move on my mark. Slow and steady. Don't break formation. Lyra adjusted her shield, extending its reach slightly. She could feel the energy in the air responding, bending to her focus. Humans had always been clever, quick thinkers and adaptable, but here she realized they were becoming more than that. They were evolving. The team began to move along the cliff, the predators pacing them from below. Lyra's shield pulsed continuously, its glow reflecting off the jagged rock. One predator lunged, but a synchronized push of the shield sent it tumbling back into the shadows. You're doing it, Ethan whispered, a rare note of admiration in his voice. Humans are incredible. Lyra allowed a small smile, but her eyes never left the advancing threats. It's not just me. It's all of us. We survive because we work together, because we trust and choose each other. As they approached the outpost, smoke and debris became visible. The alien structures were partially collapsed and faint cries for help reached their ears. Humans were trapped inside. The team's pace quickened, but so did the danger. Another predator appeared, larger than the others, blocking the narrow path ahead. Lyra's shield responded instinctively, creating a strong barrier. She concentrated, extending the energy outward, feeling it expand in a dome that covered the team. The predator roared, its claws scraping against the invisible shield. Lyra's muscles burned with exertion, but she held firm. The energy of the shield wasn't limitless. It required focus, trust, and intent. She was pushing herself to the edge, but humans had always thrived under pressure. Ethan moved beside her. You're doing great. We're almost there. Keep it steady. Lyra nodded, sweat forming on her brow. She could feel the strain, but she could also feel the team's confidence. They believed in her just as she believed in them. That trust amplified the shield, made it stronger, more resilient. Humans were extraordinary, not because of sheer strength, but because of connection and cooperation. Finally, they reached the partially destroyed outpost. Survivors were pinned behind fallen beams, terrified and injured. Lyra moved to them, extending her shield over the area. She helped pull one researcher free, then another, guiding them through the narrow path back to safety. Stay within the shield, she shouted. We move together. The predators followed, but the shield remained strong. Lyra's focus, combined with the team's coordination, kept them protected. One predator tried to break through by attacking from the side, but two team members flanked it with smaller shields, forcing it back. Ethan saw an opening. We can get everyone out if we move quickly. Ready? Lyra nodded. Ready. Trust your shield, trust your instincts, and move. Step by step, the humans guided the survivors out. The largest predator lunged one more time, but Lyra extended her shield fully, creating a barrier that sent it tumbling backward. The humans reached the clearing outside the outpost, breathing heavily but safe. The survivors stared in awe at the shields, the teamwork, and the courage of the humans who had saved them. One young researcher asked, How did you do that? Lyra smiled softly. Humans survive by working together, by trusting each other, and by choosing who to trust wisely. That's our power, Ethan added. It's not just technology. It's instinct, courage, and cooperation. That's what makes humans extraordinary. The team rested briefly in the clearing, giving the survivors water and medical attention. The predators had retreated, deterred by the combined power of the human shields and strategy. Ardalis 7 remained dangerous, but humans had proven they could adapt, and even thrive in ways no other species might. Lyra's legs still hurt, and the exertion had exhausted her, but she felt stronger than ever. Her shield was improving, responding faster and more precisely. She could protect more than herself now. She could extend her focus to the team, to other humans. Ethan approached, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. She instinctively leaned back slightly, remembering her whispered rule. Only the one I choose may touch. But she allowed him near, trusting him completely. You led them well, Ethan said quietly. Humans are remarkable, Lyra. I don't know any other species that could do this. She looked at him, a small smile breaking through her exhaustion. It's not me alone. It's all of us. Humans survive because we work together and because we respect each other's strengths and boundaries. That is what makes us powerful. As the team regrouped and began the slow journey back to the main outpost, the alien forest seemed to watch them. Ardalis 7 was alive, unpredictable, and dangerous, but humans were learning to thrive here. They were not just explorers. They were pioneers, adapting and evolving. That night, around the small fire the team had managed to start in the clearing, Lyra reflected on the day. They had faced predators far stronger and faster than humans. They had rescued trapped survivors. They had done all of this without the use of overwhelming firepower, only teamwork, courage, and their unique human abilities. Humans, she realized, were not defined by strength alone. They were defined by choice, by trust, and by the willingness to act together. Ardalis 7 was a challenge, yes, but it was also a proving ground for humanity's greatest strengths. The fire crackled softly, and the humans rested, united and prepared. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and predators would return, but they were ready. Humans survived because they adapted. Humans thrived because they trusted each other. And humans would endure, no matter how wild the world became. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the pulse of her shield, feeling the strength of her team. The words she had whispered during the first storm echoed in her mind. Only the one I choose may touch. It was more than a rule. It was a symbol of human resilience, ethics, and power. And on Ardalis 7 it was what would keep them alive. The alien forests of Ardalis 7 were quieter now, but the humans knew the calm was temporary. Every shadow could hide a predator. Every rustle of leaves could signal danger. Yet the outpost had been partially rebuilt, and humans were beginning to feel a sense of stability, a rare feeling on this wild planet. Dr. Lyra Vance walked among the team, observing each member as they practiced controlling their empathic shields. The energy pulses were subtle at first, flickering like faint lights, but with concentration and trust the shields became stronger, more reliable. Humans were learning quickly. Their ability to adapt, to trust, and coordinate was extraordinary. Focus on your breathing, Lyra instructed one of the younger researchers. Your shield responds to your calm, your confidence. Let it expand naturally, don't force it. The researcher nodded, concentrating. Slowly, a faint shimmer appeared around her hands. Lyra smiled. Better. Remember, trust is key. Trust yourself and trust those around you. That's what makes us powerful, Ethan Cross observed from nearby. He had watched humans evolve under pressure before, but this was remarkable. Predators could strike at any moment. Storms could appear without warning. And yet humans were learning not just to survive. They were learning to control the battlefield itself, using instinct, cooperation, and focus. Lyra turned to him. The team is ready to take the next step, she said. We need to prepare for more than predators. There may be other dangers, other species, other threats we haven't seen yet. Leadership and trust will decide who survives. Ethan nodded. He had already seen her potential. But now it was clear that humans' greatest strength was not weapons or technology. It was ethics, communication, and choice. They survived because they respected each other and worked together. That night, a distant alarm echoed from the edge of the outpost. Sensors had detected movement. An alien scout had entered the perimeter. Humans reacted instantly, taking positions and raising their shields. Lyra's energy field expanded, creating a dome that covered the main area. The scout, a lithe creature with bioluminescent skin, moved cautiously. It tested the perimeter, sniffing the air, watching for openings. Lyra's shield pulsed gently, warning the team. Stay calm. Watch your flanks. Let it come to you, she instructed. The scout advanced, but every time it touched the edge of a shield, it recoiled. The human's coordinated defense forced it to retreat, circling around the perimeter. Lyra's leadership was subtle but firm. She guided them without fear, teaching them to trust their instincts and each other. Ethan watched her work and felt admiration. Humans had survived countless challenges throughout history, but here on Ardalis 7, their adaptability was becoming almost tangible. They were clever, resourceful, and ethical, traits that made them unpredictable and formidable. "Prepare to engage if necessary," Ethan whispered. "But don't attack unless it's unavoidable. Observe." Lyra nodded. "This is a teaching moment. Humans survive not by reckless aggression, but by careful strategy and cooperation." The scout hesitated, then attempted to slip past the shields. Two team members adjusted their positions, strengthening the barrier, while Lyra extended her energy slightly to cover the weak point. The scout growled in frustration and finally retreated into the forest. The humans exhaled collectively. The threat had been neutralized without violence thanks to strategy and trust. Lyra smiled at the team. "See? We protect ourselves without unnecessary conflict. That's the power of understanding and coordination." The next day, the humans began organizing more systematically. Each person was assigned specific roles: patrol, shield maintenance, communication, scouting, and all were taught to respect each other's boundaries. Lyra emphasized that the shield responded best when users trusted their teammates. One team member, skeptical of the shield's reliance on trust, asked, "What if someone breaks formation? Won't it fail?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, trust can't be forced, but it can be earned. Humans survive because we learn to rely on each other and respect each other's choices. That's why we succeed where others fail." Over the following days, the team conducted several training exercises. They simulated predator attacks, navigated dangerous terrain, and practiced rescues. Every exercise reinforced the importance of trust, coordination, and careful observation. Humans weren't just strong. They were clever, adaptable, and principled. Ethan took note of their progress. "We could never have done this with technology alone," he said to Lyra one evening. "Humans' instincts, ethics, and teamwork are what make this possible." Lyra nodded, adjusting her shield. "Exactly. Weapons can only do so much. Humans survive because we respect boundaries, make choices, and work together. That's what gives us an advantage even against stronger predators." A week later, the outpost faced its greatest challenge yet. Multiple alien scouts appeared on the horizon, far more organized than before. The humans had no choice. They had to defend themselves strategically. Lyra gathered the team. "We're not just defending the outpost. We're demonstrating the strength of humanity. Focus on your shields, trust each other, and remember your training. We survived together." The team moved into formation. Shields pulsed in overlapping patterns, creating a network of protection. The scouts approached cautiously, testing the barriers. But the humans were ready. Lyra's shield expanded, connecting with the other shields. The energy pulsed with intent, guided by her focus and the team's trust. When a scout attempted to breach the perimeter, it was met with a coordinated push from multiple shields, forcing it back. Ethan led the team through the defensive maneuvers, guiding movements and observing openings. Humans relied on instincts, training, and judgment rather than brute force. The alien scouts were surprised by the coordination and precision, retreating after repeated attempts to find weaknesses. During the battle, Lyra noticed one scout attempting to isolate a team member. She acted quickly, extending her shield to cover both, reinforcing the connection. Humans had learned not only to protect themselves, but also to protect each other. That was their true strength: ethics, trust, and adaptability combined. After hours of careful maneuvering, the scouts retreated completely. Humans had defended the outpost without casualties. The shields had held, the team had coordinated flawlessly, and the predators had learned that humans were not easily defeated. Lyra gathered the team once more. "Today we proved something important. Humans survive not just by strength, but by choice, by cooperation, and by respect. We've turned our instincts into power, and our trust into shields. That is humanity's greatest weapon." Ethan looked around at the exhausted but victorious team. "We've faced storms, predators, and unknown threats," he said. "And we've survived. Humans aren't just capable, they're extraordinary. We adapt, we strategize, and we protect each other. That's why we endure." The team cheered quietly, not in arrogance, but in shared understanding. Humans had survived another challenge on Ardalis 7, not through luck or sheer force, but through ingenuity, trust, and moral courage. They were learning the true meaning of leadership, protecting others, making careful decisions, and understanding that every human had value. As night fell over the outpost, Lyra and Ethan stood outside the protective perimeter. The glowing forests of Ardalis 7 stretched endlessly before them. Dangerous? Yes, unpredictable, always. But humans were no longer merely explorers or survivors. They were pioneers, learning to harness their instincts, trust, and collective strength. Lyra placed a hand lightly on Ethan's arm. She instinctively paused, remembering her rule. Only the one I choose may touch. But she allowed it, trusting him completely. The gesture was small but significant, a symbol of trust, respect, and shared humanity. We've done well, Ethan said quietly. But I know more challenges are coming, Lyra nodded. They will come, and we'll be ready. Humans survive because we adapt, because we trust, and because we respect the choices of each other. That's why we succeed. The alien world around them was alive, dangerous, and unpredictable, yet humans had learned to endure and even thrive. They had survived storms, predators, and ambushes, but now they were preparing for the next stage, facing threats with strategy, intelligence, and the unique moral courage that only humans possessed. And as they rested within the protective glow of their shields, humanity's resolve strengthened. Ardalis 7 could be wild, it could be deadly, but humans, together, would not only survive. They would endure, adapt, and flourish, Lyra whispered quietly to herself. A reminder of what had guided them so far. Only the one I choose may touch. It was more than a rule. It was a symbol of human connection, ethical strength, and power. And it would guide them through every challenge yet to come. The alien skies of Ardalis 7 glowed with streaks of pale light as dawn broke over the rugged terrain. The forests, cliffs, and valleys that had challenged humanity for weeks seemed quieter. But the humans knew better. Danger could strike at any moment, and the planet's predators were persistent. Yet for the first time the team felt a sense of readiness. Dr. Lyra Vance stood at the center of the outpost, her shield active and pulsing gently around the perimeter. Commander Ethan Cross surveyed the area, ensuring every human was positioned strategically. They had faced storms, predators, ambushes, and unknown threats, and they had survived every time. The team had grown stronger, more coordinated, and more confident. Today, however, would be their greatest challenge yet. Scouting reports indicated a larger alien force approaching, a coordinated pack far stronger than any predators they had faced. The humans had two choices, flee or fight. We stand our ground, Lyra said firmly, her gaze sweeping over the team. We have learned to trust each other, to work together, and to use our abilities wisely. Today, humanity shows Ardalis 7 what we are capable of. Ethan nodded, proud of her courage and leadership. We survive because we adapt, because we trust each other, and because we fight smart. Today, we prove that humans are extraordinary. The alien force emerged from the glowing forest, a dozen predators large and agile, moving with precision. They hissed and roared, clearly intending to overwhelm the humans. But the humans were ready. Lyra raised her hands and the shields pulsed outward. Each team member's shield connected with the others, forming a network of energy that covered the entire outpost. The predators approached, testing the boundaries, but every attempt to breach the shields was repelled. Stay calm. Trust your shields and trust each other, Lyra instructed. Humans survive because we act together, not alone. The predators tried to flank the humans, splitting into groups. Lyra extended her shield strategically, covering weak points while guiding the humans to maintain formation. Step by step, they moved as one. Their shields weren't just protective. They were a force multiplier, responding to concentration, trust, and coordination. Ethan led a small team around the side, using the terrain to their advantage. Humans had learned to adapt to every situation. Unlike the predators, they could plan, observe, and act with foresight. Their strength was not only physical, but ethical, strategic, and collaborative. One predator lunged directly at the outpost, claws extended. Lyra focused, amplifying her shield, and it pushed the predator back. Another tried to isolate a team member, but coordinated shields blocked it from every side. Humans had turned survival into strategy, instinct into power. Hold your ground, Lyra shouted. Together we are stronger than any predator. The battle raged for hours, the glowing forest echoing with alien roars and the hum of human shields. The humans moved with precision, protecting each other, guiding the survivors, and repelling attacks. Even exhausted, they remained coordinated, relying on training, instincts, and trust. During the fight, one young researcher faltered, panicking as a predator approached. Lyra reacted instantly. extending her shield to cover the researcher and connecting it with the shields of two nearby teammates. The predator hit the barrier and recoiled, confused and frustrated. Humans were learning to protect not just themselves, but each other. That was their greatest advantage. Ethan saw an opportunity. Lyra, concentrate on the center. The predators are pushing toward that point. We can channel them into the canyon below. Lyra understood immediately. She focused her energy, shaping the shield's pulse like a wave, guiding the predators' movements without direct violence. The team moved in perfect coordination, her strategy amplifying their collective strength. Step by step, the predators were funneled toward a narrow canyon, where their momentum worked against them. The humans watched as the first predator lost its footing, sliding into the canyon with a roar. One by one, the others followed, struggling to regain balance until all had tumbled out of the way. The humans had won, not by killing, but by using intelligence, coordination, and moral courage. Lyra exhaled, exhausted, but exhilarated. "We did it," she said softly. "Humanity wins because we survive together, because we trust, and because we act wisely." Ethan approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. She paused for a moment, instinctively remembering her rule. Only the one I choose may touch. Then, with complete trust, she allowed it. The gesture symbolized the bond, respect, and connection that had carried them through every challenge. The team regrouped at the outpost, tending to minor injuries and assessing the shields. No human had been seriously harmed. The predators had been repelled. Humanity had endured, adapted, and triumphed. Lyra walked among the team, smiling at each member. "Today we proved something important. Strength isn't just physical. It's ethical, it's strategic, and it's collaborative. Humans survive because we respect each other, make wise choices, and act together." Ethan added, "We've faced storms, ambushes, and unknown threats. Each time humans adapted and succeeded. Today we've shown that nothing on our Dallas 7 or anywhere can break the spirit of humanity." The survivors who had been rescued earlier joined the group, looking at the humans with admiration and gratitude. One said softly, "I've never seen anything like this. You didn't just protect us, you taught us what it means to be human." Lyra smiled. "Humans survive not by luck or power alone. We survive because we choose courage, we trust, and we act with care. That's our greatest strength." Night fell over the outpost, but the humans felt no fear. The shields remained active, their energy a comforting pulse against the darkness. Ardalis 7 was still alive and dangerous, but the humans had learned to endure, adapt, and thrive. They were not merely survivors, they were pioneers, demonstrating what humans could achieve through intellect, morality, and teamwork. Ethan looked at Lyra. Your whisper, "Only the one I choose may touch," guided us through every challenge. It's not just about protection, it's about leadership, trust, and respect. Humans are extraordinary because of that. Lyra nodded. It's true. Every human has the power to choose, to trust, and to act wisely. That's what keeps us alive and makes us strong. The humans gathered together in the center of the outpost, their shields glowing faintly in the night. For the first time, they felt secure not because of technology alone, but because of themselves. Human instincts, intelligence, and cooperation had protected them. Ardalis 7 could throw storms, predators, and unknown dangers at them, but humans were ready. They were adaptable, resilient, and courageous. In that quiet moment, Lyra reflected on the journey. From the first storm to the ambushes and the training, humans had proven their greatest power was not weapons, strength, or even skill. It was humanity itself. Choice, trust, and ethical courage had turned survival into triumph. As the night stretched on, Lyra whispered to herself, a quiet mantra that had guided her through every danger. Only the one I choose may touch. It was more than a rule. It was a symbol of human connection, moral strength, and the power that comes from respecting each other. Ethan looked around at the humans resting within the glowing shields. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, he said softly. But we will face them together. Humans endure because we adapt, trust, and act wisely. That is our greatest weapon. Lyra nodded, feeling the truth in his words. Humans had triumphed, not because they were stronger or faster than their enemies, but because they were clever, cooperative, and principled. That was the essence of humanity, resilient, ethical, and unstoppable when united. The alien world was still dangerous, Predators would return. Storms could strike without warning. But humanity had learned the rhythm of Ardalis 7. They had survived the impossible and emerged stronger. And as dawn broke over the glowing forests, humans stood together, shields connected, hearts resolute. Ardalis 7 was wild and untamed, but humans were extraordinary. They had faced every threat, adapted to every challenge, and shown the galaxy what humanity could achieve. Lyra raised her eyes to the horizon, feeling the pulse of energy in her shield and in the team around her. Only the one I choose may touch. The words echoed through her mind, a reminder of the power of trust, courage, and ethical action. Humanity had triumphed. Not by weapons, not by force, but by what made them truly human: intelligence, cooperation, and moral courage. And on Ardalis 7 they would continue to thrive, evolve, and endure, no matter what the universe sent their way. The adventure had reached its conclusion, but humanity's story was far from over. On this wild, glowing world, humans had proven that their greatest weapon was themselves. And that was a force no predator, no storm, and no challenge could overcome.